pronounce our parents when we're scared about something. But we often turn towards a attachment figure for a sense of security. So John Bowlby says it's a biological necessity. We all crave, and not just because of food. He debunked the theory that children love their mothers because they just fed them. He says no. He says even certain species of animals that don't even feed their little children, like little ducklings that swim around with their ducks, and the little ducklings actually are not even using their mothers for food, but they're standing close. They hover close near to them when they're swimming around the water. They're there for the sense of attachment and security. So too in relationship. In life, we need a close sense of security with our spouses. Those of us that work towards that experience, as we'll see in this chart, a tremendous sense of happiness. So if you look in the top of the sheet, there's a box. It says relationship roadmap. And below that it says the word connected. So what happens? Those who experience more attachment or more bonding, if you look to the left side of that box, will experience more pleasure. Those relationships where there's a sense of closeness will experience feelings of goodwill, of trust, and of respect. And in fact, little tiny words under that, what would be some of the signs? It's almost microscopic, I'm sorry. What are some of the signs that you're experiencing pleasure in your relationships and experiencing bonding? Feelings of happiness, health, you'll be energetic, you'll feel good, flexibility, creativity, openness, sharing, self-respect, and the ability to be close with someone. Those are the positive signs that one is experiencing close attachment in lives. However, to the right of the box is the word pain. If people aren't experiencing that close bonding and attachment in their marriages and their relationship, they'll feel other negative feelings. Feelings of being mad, a sense of anger, a sense of sadness, and sometimes a sense of tremendous fear. What will be the signs that you're not experiencing that attachment? Signs of sadness, tired, depressed, stiff, tight, lonely, closed, guarded. And unfortunately, as we know from the world of addictions, that people that don't experience close bonding, close attachment in their present lives and their previous earlier lives often move towards addictions. So those who aren't experiencing close bonding with their spouse are often connecting to other things. Drugs, alcohol, internet, gambling. So when you work with people who are addicted to various substances or behaviors, we often look for what are their essential attachment needs. How are they not met when they're younger children or presently in the relationships? And often one way to wean a person away from their addictions is to enhance their present-day attachments, their present-day relationships. And as a person experiences greater closeness, greater sense of security, a greater sense of having a safe haven to turn towards somebody in this world, at many occasions we can reduce their dependency on external factors, on external stimuli, on addictions, because they're turning to somebody that's ultimately fulfilling their deeper need, which Bowlby mentioned before, is this deep need for attachment. So, again, those who can experience more bonding and those who do experience in their marriages have the positive benefits of happiness and so on. Those who don't will experience a lot more anger, sadness, depression, and fear. And how do we actually do that? How do we increase attachment? If you look to the top of the page of the box, it says under the word connecting, through understanding and communication. We experience attachment in marriage by increasing our understanding of one another, and we also increase our ability and our skill set and how to communicate what we're experiencing. And that is the essence of attachment. If I can understand the other person more deeply, if I can express what I'm experiencing. There's a very famous marriage therapist, probably the leading marriage researcher in the world. His name is John Gottman. He said what we need to do in marriage is learn how to turn towards one another with our feelings. Right? I once had a couple come to my office, and she walked in with big sunglasses, and looked very upset, was crying. She sat in the other corner of my office, behind me, in the corner like this. Her husband sat in front of me. So clearly, according to Gottman, what we're seeing there is seeing people turn away from one another. What I actually do in therapy is at some point in certain couples, I'll actually take two chairs after I talk for about 20 minutes. I'll have them actually face one another, turn towards one another. And even that physical gesture of turning towards is transformative, I find. Often if couples are fighting, they say, okay, I understand what you're both experiencing, now I want you to turn towards one another for a minute, and they both look at each other. And they haven't looked at each other in 3 years. They kind of smile for a second. Even if they're fighting, they start smiling. Because what we're teaching people then is to actually turn towards one another. And this is the essence of attachment. You need to turn towards somebody. And if you see what we did with daily temperature reading, it was the same idea. We want you to turn towards one another, express appreciations, ask your questions, bring new information to the relationship, express your hopes, wishes, and dreams. Those who can express those feelings, and they might not just be positive feelings, they may be feelings of fear and sadness. Somebody might turn to their wife and say, I'm really sad because I'm not making enough money. I'm feeling really depressed. But you see, whereas that person previously may have turned towards drugs, addictions, internet, now what they're doing is experiencing enhancing attachment, returning towards their spouse with those feelings. It's that ability to create a safe environment where I can express what I'm experiencing, whether it's anger, depression, anxiety, and fear, but turn towards somebody with them. That can enhance one's sense of attachment and lead towards greater happiness. And it's also learning how to really actively listen to our spouses. When your wife expresses something, and this is, by the way, Rabbi Krohn mentioned Men Are From Yerushalayim and Women Are From Bnei Brak. That book understands that we express and understand in different ways in terms of differences in genders. A classic example is a wife is home all day long with 3 kids, and there's diapers, and the kids are fighting, and there's taking baths, and there's mess, and there's food, and all these things. And the husband's supposed to be home at 6 o'clock. And what happens? 6:05, 6:10, 6:20, 6:30. I'll be home. 6:50 walks in. What does she do? She tries. Where were you? I can't believe you haven't been home all this time. I'm going out of my mind. The kids are, the diaper on the floor, the food burning on the stove. I'm going out of my mind. I'm exhausted. I've been up all night. The husband gets very defensive. How can you talk to me like that? And he defends himself, and they start fighting. Okay. But we teach husbands to do something differently. Because really what a wife longs for is not for a husband to even fix her situation, but is to understand her situation. To just sit for 1 minute and empathize with them. And empathy can occur through what we call active listening. When somebody turns towards you with a lot of feeling, you need to stay with them and not fix their emotions, rather contain and hold their emotions. We do that through something called active listening. When a person says to you, I'm really angry today, this might sound a bit mechanical, but you need to turn to them and go, are you really feeling angry? You know? Like a kid comes home from school and says, Shmuley punched me today. Or your son, Shmuley punched me, that really hurt. You want to stay with their emotion. Anybody in business here, right, knows the best way to treat clients is what? Somebody walks into your door. What do? There's an expression, the customer's always right. You have to validate what your customer wants, right? In business, of course, sir, I understand what you want. I mean, you might not have it. You might think it's ridiculous. You don't tell the client or the customer it's crazy what you want. You say, I hear that. I'm not sure I have it. I'll check for you, sir. What a good idea, right? The same with our spouses. When they express emotion, we need to contain emotion by really listening to them and not problem solving for our wives. So when the guy comes in the door and the wife's going out of my mind, I'm crazy, the husband just needs to say, looks like you had a really hard time today. I'm here for you. You need to contain it by holding it, reflecting it, understanding it. And the deeper spouse